Beneath the restless tides of the Atlantic, silence reigns. But hidden within that silence lies a story older than history itself, long before the United States was born. Before Columbus sailed or the tribes walked freely upon the land, a forgotten civilization may have thrived beneath the waters we now call home. Scientists once believed that America's ancient story began with stone tools and migrating tribes. But deep beneath the ocean floor, new discoveries challenge everything we know. Structures resembling city walls, roads paved in geometric patterns, monolithic stones aligned with the stars. Could it be that America once held an Atlantis of its own? Or are these ruins nothing more than a natural illusion, a trick played by time and tides? Tonight, the Wonder Lab dives into the depths to uncover a mystery that could rewrite the history of the New World. This is The Sunken Secrets of America, the Lost Underwater Civilization. Welcome to the Wonder Lab. The ocean is the greatest keeper of secrets. For centuries, its depths have swallowed entire worlds, empires, cities, memories, erasing all traces of what once was. But sometimes, the ocean gives something back. It was off the coast of Cuba in the early 2000s when sonar technicians first noticed it, a formation lying 2,000 feet below the surface. Strange geometric patterns, squares and rectangles aligned in perfect order, spread across a vast area of the seabed. "It looks like a city," one diver whispered through the static of his comms line. The coordinates were logged. The images were analyzed. And soon, headlines erupted. A lost city found beneath the Caribbean? To many, it was nothing less than America's Atlantis, a city that could predate recorded history. But scientists were cautious. The human mind is drawn to patterns. We see faces in clouds and cities in stones. Yet the images were too perfect to ignore. Massive stone blocks, corridors, and what seemed to be a pyramid-like shape resting on the ocean floor. Geologist Paulina Zalitsky, who led the expedition, described the discovery as staggering. She had spent years mapping the deep sea for oil and mineral exploration, but this was different. It looked artificial, she said, and far too complex to be natural. The site was immediately classified by many as one of the most puzzling marine finds in modern times. The mystery deepened further when independent researchers suggested the structures could be over 6,000 years old, older than the pyramids of Giza, older than Stonehenge. But how could that be? 6,000 years ago, that region of the Caribbean was above water, which means if the structures are real, they were built on dry land. Something must have happened, something catastrophic enough to submerge an entire city. Perhaps a great flood, perhaps the end of an age. The parallels were impossible to ignore. The ancient myth of Atlantis, first written by Plato, spoke of an advanced civilization swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. Many dismissed it as legend. But what if Plato's story was not myth, but memory? A memory passed down from survivors, a warning encoded in our oldest tales. As explorers prepared to return to the site, the mystery took an unexpected turn. The U.S. Navy restricted civilian research in that region. Satellite access was limited, and for years, no new footage was released. Was it to protect national interests, or to hide something extraordinary beneath the waves? Whatever the reason, the site faded into obscurity, dismissed as unverified. But recently, advances in marine LiDAR and 3D sonar imaging have allowed scientists to map the seafloor in astonishing detail. And what they're finding off the coasts of Florida, Cuba, and the Gulf of Mexico is rewriting the story once again. Vast networks of symmetrical formations, submerged terraces, and artifacts resembling early tools embedded in coral. Something once stood here, a civilization capable of design, planning, and building, on a massive scale. Were they the ancestors of Native American tribes, or an entirely forgotten branch of humanity, erased by the rise of the seas? As the tides shift and new data emerges, one truth grows clearer. The ocean remembers everything, and it is finally beginning to speak. This is just the beginning. The ocean doesn't forget. It only buries. Beneath every wave lies the memory of a world that once existed, and the story of how it vanished. To understand America's underwater ruins, we must journey far back in time, to an age when the world itself was drowning. 1,000 years ago, the Earth was emerging from the last ice age. Vast sheets of ice, miles thick, blanketed the northern continents. But then something changed. A sudden warming began, faster than scientists once believed possible. The ice began to melt. Oceans swelled. Rivers broke free from their frozen prisons and surged into the sea. In less than 1,000 years, global sea levels rose by more than 400 feet. Entire coastlines disappeared, and with them the settlements, temples, and cities built by early human civilizations. To the ancient mind, it must have seemed like the end of the world. Myths from every corner of the planet, from Mesopotamia to the Americas, speak of a great flood that covered all lands. Could these be separate memories of the same global event? In the Americas, ancient tribes spoke of a time when the oceans rose and swallowed the earth. The Choctaw called it the time of the drowning. The Maya remembered a world before the sea, a first creation destroyed by celestial fire and flood. These are not random stories. They are echoes, remnants of truth wrapped in myth. Scientists call this period the Younger Dryas Boundary Event, a mysterious era when the planet was struck by chaos. Some believe a comet or asteroid hit the Earth around 10,800 BCE, triggering wildfires, atmospheric dust, and rapid climate collapse. Others point to volcanic activity or sudden shifts in ocean currents. Whatever the cause, the result was the same, a catastrophic rise in sea levels that redrew the map of the world. The coastlines of North America were among the hardest hit. What is now the Gulf of Mexico once stretched hundreds of miles further inland. Beneath those waters may lie the remains of settlements, cities swallowed before history began. Imagine it, humans standing on the shore, watching their homes disappear under relentless waves. Entire cultures erased not by war but by water, and then silence. Archaeologists have found evidence of advanced tool-making and stone construction, dating back more than 12,000 years in regions now under the sea. In Florida's Gulf Coast, divers have uncovered wooden stakes arranged in circular patterns, remnants of a possible settlement. In Louisiana, beneath the muddy delta, sonar scans reveal strange geometric ridges consistent with man-made terraces, and off the Bahamas, the famous Bimini Road, a line of rectangular limestone blocks, continues to fuel debate. Natural formation or ancient construction? Each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. Each unanswered question pulls us deeper into the mystery. Could it be that, long before recorded history, North America was home to an advanced civilization, one wiped out by the Great Flood? If so, where did they come from? Were they isolated innovators, or remnants of a forgotten world that once connected continents? To uncover the truth, scientists are now tracing the geological scars left behind: sediment layers, ancient shorelines, and carbon-dated coral beds. These natural records speak clearly. The flood was real. The timing matches the legends, and somewhere within that time frame, the city beneath the Caribbean may have been lost forever. But to find who built it and why, we must look to the civilizations that came after the flood, because some say Their descendants still walk among us. The flood changed everything. It erased coastlines, swallowed cities, and scattered survivors across continents. But what if not everything was lost? What if fragments of that forgotten civilization still echo in the cultures that rose after the waters receded? The answer may lie hidden in stone and in the stories passed down through generations that never forgot the world before the flood. Soft ambient hum fades in, ocean currents, ancient chants faintly heard. Thousands of years after the Great Drowning, new societies began to emerge across the Americas, from the Olmecs in Central America to the mound builders of North America. Patterns began to repeat. Advanced architecture, celestial alignments, and mysterious knowledge of the stars. How did these early people, separated by time and distance, know how to build in such precise harmony with the cosmos? In Mexico's Gulf region, colossal stone heads stare silently toward the horizon. Each weighs nearly 20 tons, carved with extraordinary detail. Helmets, faces, expressions. The Olmecs appeared around 1500 BCE. But their sophistication suggests they inherited something older. Their myths speak of the ones who came before, beings who survived a world-destroying flood and rebuilt civilization from memory across the continent. The Hopi tell a nearly identical tale of an ancient people guided by sky spirits to the mountains when the seas began to rise. They called them the first people, the Maya. Two tell of an earlier creation, a world wiped away by water, after which new humans were made from corn. The pattern is universal, from the Pacific coast of Peru to the canyons of the Mississippi. Ancient legends remember the same thing, a catastrophe, survivors, and a rebuilding guided by knowledge from before the waters. Could these stories be cultural memories of the same lost world that now sleeps beneath the waves near Cuba? Archaeologists once dismissed such myths as symbolic, but modern research is revealing that oral traditions can preserve real events. For thousands of years, the flood stories of indigenous tribes in North America have been traced to sea level, changes that happened over 10,000 years ago. These people didn't invent the flood, they remembered it, but there's something even stranger. Many early American structures, from Poverty Point in Louisiana to Teotihuacan in Mexico, share geometric alignments with star systems, especially Orion and the Pleiades. The same celestial patterns appear in ancient Egypt, in Turkey's Göbekli Tepe, and even in underwater ruins mapped off Japan's Yonaguni coast. Is this coincidence? Or the fingerprint of an ancient interconnected world that predated modern civilization? Perhaps the builders of America's lost underwater city were not isolated, but part of a forgotten global network of seafarers, astronomers, and engineers who understood the planet better than we think. They might have used the stars not only for navigation, but as a sacred language, a cosmic map linking the heavens and the earth. And when their world sank, their descendants carried fragments of that knowledge inland, where it slowly transformed into legend, ritual, and architecture. On a quiet night in the Florida Keys, marine archaeologist Dr. Rafael Torres looks out at the horizon and says, "The answers are out there, beneath the waves and within the stones." The people who built the first cities of the Americas may not be gone. Their memory lives in every structure we've ever built. The echoes of the builders still call to us through coral and current, myth and memory. They are the voices of a civilization the sea tried to erase, but never could, and as technology evolves, we may finally be ready to listen. They say technology defines a civilization. But what if the world's first great technologies didn't begin in Mesopotamia, Egypt, or China? What if they began beneath the sea? Across the Americas, we find engineering marvels that defy explanation, monoliths weighing hundreds of tons, lifted and positioned with mathematical precision. Stone walls fitted so tightly that not even a blade of grass can slip between them. Temples aligned with celestial events, equinoxes, solstices, and lunar cycles mapped with accuracy beyond the reach of early instruments. How did ancient builders achieve such precision without the technology we take for granted today? The answer, some researchers believe, lies in forgotten knowledge, a legacy inherited from those who came before the flood. In the Andean highlands of Peru lies a site called Sacsayhuaman, massive zigzagging walls built of giant stones, some over 300 tons each, no mortar, no iron tools, no modern machinery, yet every block fits together like the pieces of a puzzle, perfectly balanced. Earthquake-proof and enduring centuries of storms, archaeologists still can't fully explain how they did it. Some stones were quarried miles away, dragged uphill through mountainous terrain. The engineering is so advanced that even NASA's engineers have studied it for modern seismic design. But there's more. In Bolivia, at a site known as Pumapunku, enormous H-shaped stones are cut with a precision that suggests machining, flat surfaces, 90-degree angles, and drill-like holes, all carved into diorite. One of the hardest stones on Earth, the builders of Pumapunku had no metal tools, no wheels, no written language, yet they built as if guided by a lost science. What if this was the same knowledge that shaped the submerged city near Cuba? The same geometry, the same cosmic alignment, carried through time like a hidden code. Evidence of advanced understanding appears again and again across ancient America. The Maya could predict solar eclipses centuries in advance. The Nazca Line stretched for miles with perfect geometric precision. The Cahokia Mounds of North America mirror the layout of Orion's belt. How could societies separated by thousands of miles and ages of time all follow the same cosmic blueprint? Modern archaeologists call it independent innovation. But what if these patterns are the surviving fragments of a single lost system, an ancient science based on vibration, geometry, and energy fields? Some theorists call it geosonics. The idea that ancient builders understood the resonance of stone, using sound to shape and lift materials in ways we still don't fully grasp. At sacred sites like Chavin de Huantar in Peru, chambers are built to amplify sound, deep, harmonic frequencies that vibrate through the entire structure. The same acoustic principles are found in Mayan temples, where a single clap echoes back as the call of a sacred bird. Were these merely coincidences, or the remnants of a shared technological legacy passed down from a civilization that once understood the power of resonance itself? And what about magnetism? At certain megalithic sites in the Americas, stones register unusual magnetic signatures, as if intentionally aligned with the Earth's magnetic grid. In ancient myths, the builders of the First World were said to move stones as if they were weightless, using the energy of the earth and sky combined. Could this be mythic memory of a science long forgotten, one that merged nature and technology rather than dividing them? Perhaps this was the true genius of the ancients. They did not conquer nature. They worked with it. Their temples breathed with the wind, sang with the earth, and moved with the stars. And somewhere deep below, in the lost underwater city near Cuba, the same harmony might still exist, frozen in coral, preserved by the tides, waiting to be rediscovered. Every civilization leaves behind a map, a record of what it knew and sometime of what it had lost. But among the world's oldest maps, there are a few that should not exist, charts showing coastlines that were supposedly undiscovered, islands long submerged beneath the waves, and details so precise that modern science still struggles to explain them. Could these maps be the fingerprints of a forgotten age, a memory of a world before the flood? Soft background tone, parchment crackling, waves rolling faintly. The mystery begins with a document discovered in 1513, the Piri Reis map. Drawn by an Ottoman admiral and scholar, it depicts the western coasts of Africa, South America, and something else. At the bottom of the map, beneath the curve of South America, lies a detailed rendering of what appears to be Antarctica, not as an icy wasteland, but as a green mountainous continent without ice. Modern satellite surveys reveal that the coastline under Antarctica's ice matches the map almost perfectly, but the ice sheet that covers it today has been there for more than 6,000 years. So how could a 16th century mapmaker have drawn a continent that no human had seen in recorded history? Admiral Piri Reis himself claimed he didn't draw it from observation. He copied it from ancient source maps, relics passed down from civilizations long before his own. The same mystery appears in the Orontius, Phineas map of 1531, and again in the Boachi map of 1737, each showing the subglacial geography of Antarctica with uncanny precision, all of them. Their creator said were based on older charts, copies of copies, drawn from civilizations that vanished long ago. But what does this have to do with the lost underwater city of America? To understand that, we must look closer at the symbols and notes scribbled in the margins of these ancient maps. Many depict islands and coastlines across the Atlantic that do not exist today, small land masses precisely where modern sonar has revealed submerged plateaus and ridges. One of those underwater formations lies between Cuba and Florida, the same region where divers first reported the sunken city at the turn of the millennium. Could these maps have preserved the memory of that very land before it sank beneath the rising seas? Ancient navigation required more than luck. It required mathematics, astronomy, and knowledge of Earth's curvature. The builders of these maps had an understanding of longitude and latitude. Centuries before the invention of the modern chronometer, they knew how to project the globe onto a flat surface using trigonometric systems so precise that some scholars have compared them to satellite mapping. Such skill suggests a chain of transmission, knowledge handed down from an advanced maritime culture that explored the oceans long before recorded history began. In the Caribbean, legends tell of the old navigators, people who sailed with the stars and the sea's hidden currents. Some Caribbean tribes still use star maps carved into stone, constellations not for worship, but for direction. They speak of ancestral lands beneath the waters to the north, now lost but once, thriving with life. Could these oral histories be the missing link between the ancient cartographers and the mysterious city beneath the Caribbean? If these ancient maps truly preserve the memory of pre-flood coastlines, then the mystery is larger than one city. It suggests an entire network of maritime civilizations capable of global navigation, charting the world long before the rise of Egypt, Sumer or Greece, a world erased by the flood, but remembered through maps that outlived it. The maps of forgotten time are more than relics. They are whispers of human memory, echoes from a world that refused to disappear completely, and, perhaps, they were meant to guide us back. Beneath the calm blue surface of the Atlantic, there is movement. The ocean floor, once believed to be lifeless and still, hides patterns no one expected to find, patterns that look designed in recent years. A wave of deep-sea exploration across the Caribbean basin, the Gulf of Mexico, and the western Atlantic has revealed something extraordinary. Beneath layers of sediment, Hundreds of feet below the waves lie vast ridge networks and symmetrical formations stretching for miles. To geologists, they look like ancient river channels or volcanic structures, but to marine archaeologists studying the sonar data, some formations seem to follow a pattern too regular, too deliberate to be purely natural. The most striking evidence comes from high-resolution LiDAR and multi-beam sonar surveys. Off the coast of Florida, a chain of underwater terraces forms near perfect geometric lines, oriented along true north. Further south, near Cuba's western tip, another structure, a rectangular plateau more than a mile wide, shows right angles, corridors and concentric layers resembling city walls. And then something even more astonishing appeared on satellite bathymetry maps. A faint but massive ridge system connecting multiple regions, stretching from the Bahamas through Cuba, curving toward Yucatan, and descending into the Gulf of Mexico. Some researchers believe this might be the remains of a sunken continental shelf, the edge of a landmass that once linked these regions above sea level. Could it be that what we call separate sites are actually fragments of one vast civilization, an interconnected network of cities and settlements, all swallowed by the rising seas at the end of the Ice Age? The evidence points to more than coincidence. Advanced computer modeling of seafloor topography suggests a consistent alignment between the underwater sites, as though they were built along ley lines, invisible energy pathways connecting sacred and magnetic points on Earth. This same grid system remarkably aligns with many ancient surface monuments, the Mayan pyramids of Mexico, the mounds of Cahokia in North America, and even sites in Peru and Bolivia thousands of miles away. Were these alignments deliberate, part of a planetary design, or just the echoes of human coincidence? Some scientists see in these formations nothing more than geology, fractured limestone, tectonic uplift, coral growth, but others, weigh tension. They argue that the seafloor geometry shows patterns of urban planning, consistent spacing, grid-like foundations, and evidence of artificial modification. One study out of Havana's Marine Research Institute described linear formations with angular intersections suggestive of ancient habitation zones. Divers who've reached the edges of these formations describe eerie scenes, stone pillars encrusted in coral, steps descending into darkness, and what appear to be platforms carved into the seabed. Many of these divers report the same unsettling feeling, that they are walking through the ruins of something once alive. The deeper scientists search, the more questions arise. Were these structures truly man-made, or could they be the remnants of a natural catastrophe, an ancient earthquake, or the collapse of a coastal shelf mistaken for human architecture? Yet every discovery seems to whisper the same message, that the ocean once held more than we can see, and that beneath the Atlantic's silence lies a blueprint of forgotten history. Whatever the truth, it is clear that the America's underwater landscape is not random. It is organized, connected, as if the ocean floor itself still remembers where the cities once stood. Long before sonar and satellites, before the maps of our world were drawn, the people of the Americas already spoke of another world, one hidden beneath the sea. To them, it was not a legend. It was memory across North and South America. Tribal elders, shamans, and storytellers carry tales of an age when the oceans rose and swallowed their ancestors' lands. The Yuchi people of the southeast speak of a city of stone that once stood, where the waters now meet the Gulf. The Maya recall the White Island, Sama, said to have sunk beneath great storms sent by the gods. The Inuit of the north tell of the lost coast, where shining towers once reflected the midnight sun. And in the deserts of New Mexico, Ancient petroglyphs depict waves taller than mountains, swallowing temples and men alike. At first, scholars dismissed these stories as mythology, parables for floods or punishment tales. But as oceanography and archaeology advanced, the patterns grew impossible to ignore. Different tribes, separated by vast distances, spoke of the same event, a cataclysm that ended an age of light, knowledge, and prosperity. Could these shared memories be remnants of a real disaster, a flood at the end of the last ice age? Around 11,600 years ago, the same period when global sea levels rose more than 300 feet? If so, what exactly did they lose beneath those waves? In the Amazon basin, hidden temples carved with spirals and ocean symbols point to an ancient understanding of tides and cycles. The Hopi and Zuni nations speak of Kaskara, a continent that sank into the Western Ocean after its people misused sacred knowledge. They say the survivors fled eastward, bringing wisdom to new lands, the very lands we now call America. The Aztecs preserved similar lore in their codices, a record of Baslan, the White Island, homeland that vanished beneath the sea. From the waters we came, one translation reads, "And to the waters we shall return when the world is made new again." Modern linguists studying these stories notice something extraordinary. Despite differences in language, many tribes use the same symbols to describe their drowned lands: concentric circles, spiral suns, and stepped pyramids. These symbols also appear in underwater carvings found near Yucatan, Cuba, and Bimini, markings that seem to echo across time and space. Could it be that these myths are not fiction, but cultural memories, oral time capsules preserving the truth of an ancient civilization that the ocean erased? Every myth at its core is a survival of truth. Long before science, human beings encoded memory through story, through song, symbol, and sacred ritual. The guardians of memory, as many tribes call their elders, were not storytellers alone. They were the librarians of the world before water. They carried knowledge not in books or stone tablets, but in spirit and rhythm, in ceremonies and stars, and through them, fragments of that drowned civilization may have reached us, hidden within the patterns of culture, the architecture of myth, and the symbols of faith. When we listen to these ancient voices, the boundaries between science and legend begin to blur. Perhaps the ocean's silence is not a void, but a vault, a place where human memory and natural history meet, waiting for us to remember. Every civilization carries a memory of the flood. It echoes in the stories of Noah, Gilgamesh, Deucalion, and the Mayas' deluge of the gods. But what if these legends are not coincidences? What if they all remember the same global event, one that drowned entire continents and erased an age of light from the Earth's face? Around 11,600 years ago, as the last ice age drew to a close, the planet began to melt. Vast ice sheets, covering North America and Northern Europe, collapsed. In Oz, a span of only a few centuries, a heartbeat in geological time, or trillions of tons of water poured into the oceans. Sea levels rose by over 300 feet. Whole coastlines vanished. Rivers became gulfs. Mountains became islands. And the lands that once connected continents, lands where early civilizations may have thrived, were swallowed whole. This event, known to scientists as the Younger Dryas Boundary, marks one of the most mysterious catastrophes in Earth's recent history. Evidence suggests a sudden, planet-wide climate shock, the melting of the ice, followed by centuries of violent storms, earthquakes, and floods. But what caused it? Some geologists point to natural warming, others to a massive asteroid impact, its fragments striking the northern hemisphere, melting glaciers in an instant and sending tidal waves across the world. The Carolina bays, the Great Lakes, and glassy debris found from Greenland to South America all bear the same fingerprint: intense heat, pressure, and cosmic dust. Imagine standing on the shores of that ancient America, watching as the ocean begins to rise faster than any human has ever seen. The air filled with the roar of collapsing ice, the crack of thunder that never ceased, and a horizon that swallowed the sun. Villages disappear beneath boiling waves. Mountains crumble into the sea. The sky darkens for generations. What remains are survivors, scattered across new lands, carrying the memory of the world that drowned. To these survivors, it was the end of an age. They told their children stories of the city beneath the waves, of gods who punished the proud, of wisdom lost to the ocean's heart. And over thousands of years, these memories became myths, but deep below the surface, the ruins remained, sealed beneath layers of silt, coral, and time. Modern sonar scans off the coasts of Florida, Cuba, and Bimini reveal what may be the geological scars of this ancient flood. Massive underwater channels, submerged terraces, and drowned river valleys, each marking the path of water that once tore across the land. In these depths lie stones arranged in lines and arcs, not random, not chaotic, as if something once stood there, something built. Was this the true end of the hidden world, the civilization that memory turned into myth? Did the great flood wash away not only their cities, but the knowledge of who they were? Or is it possible that some of them survived, carrying fragments of that ancient wisdom into the birth of later cultures, the Olmec, the Maya, the Egyptians, the Sumerians? If the flood was real, and the evidence says it was, then the legends are not fantasy. They are the memories of a species struggling to remember its past, whispering through time that it has lived through the end of the world before. The world drowned once, but the sea does not destroy, it preserves. Beneath its depths may still rest the bones of a civilization that reached for the stars, only to vanish beneath the tide. The ocean hides more than half of the Earth's history. Beneath its crushing weight, entire worlds lie buried, sealed in the silence of salt and stone. For centuries, that silence defeated explorers, scientists, and dreamers alike, but not anymore. In the last 2 decades, the rise of deep-sea robotics and autonomous submarines has opened a new frontier. Machines like the ROV Hercules, Alvin and Deep Discoverer, can descend thousands of meters into the abyss, carrying cameras, sonar, and robotic arms capable of uncovering secrets untouched for millennia. What they have found beneath the waves of the Americas is rewriting history. Off the coast of Cuba, 2,200 feet below the surface, sonar imagery captured in 2001 revealed something extraordinary: a series of rectangular stone structures, each the size of a small building, aligned in perfect symmetry, massive blocks resembling pyramids, roads, and plazas, far too precise to be random. The discovery stunned marine scientists. The site was mapped, photographed, and then quietly classified. To this day, it remains one of the ocean's most controversial mysteries. Further north, near the Bahamas, divers exploring the Bimini Road encountered similar phenomena. A kilometer-long line of megalithic stones arranged like a submerged causeway. Some claim it's the remains of an ancient port, a gateway to the lost world once spoken of by the ancients. Others insist it's a natural formation, shaped by erosion and time. Yet, when divers measure the angles and joints, the geometry feels intentional, like architecture, not accident. Meanwhile, marine geologists at institutions in Havana, Yucatan, and Florida are building a 3D model of the ocean floor using multi-beam sonar and LiDAR mapping. What they've uncovered is astonishing. Massive plateaus, sunken terraces, and stair-step ridges that appear man-shaped. following consistent angles of 45 degrees, 60 and 90 degrees. These formations repeat across multiple regions as if once part of a unified landscape. Some scientists now believe these underwater plains could be ancient continental extensions, the lost coastlines of a pre-Ice Age civilization. But data is not the only clue. Among the coral and sand, divers have recovered ceramic fragments, tools of unknown material, and carvings depicting stars and spiral suns, symbols that match ancient art found across the Americas. Who made them? And how did they end up 2,000 feet beneath the sea? Some researchers suggest the site was once a thriving coastal region, flooded after the Great Melt. Others whisper that it was the heart of an ancient maritime culture, a civilization with knowledge of the stars, tides, and energy far beyond what we imagine of prehistory. The evidence remains inconclusive, but undeniable. Every new dive, every sonar scan, every robotic arm brushing dust from forgotten stone brings humanity one step closer to rediscovering itself. Because beneath the ocean's crushing pressure lies not just ruin, but record. The sea has kept its own library, a silent archive of what once was, and piece by piece, we are learning to read it again. Perhaps the greatest secret of all is this: the ocean does not destroy our past. It preserves it till we are ready to see it again. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, the human eye returns to what it once built. The deeper we look into the ocean's silence, the more we realize we are not just searching for lost cities. We are searching for ourselves. For centuries, humanity believed its story began with the first written word, with clay tablets, temples, and kingdoms we could name. But what if civilization began long before that? What if our ancestors once walked coastlines now hidden beneath the sea, masters of navigation, astronomy, and architecture, a culture erased not by war or time, but by the earth itself? The ruins beneath the Atlantic are more than mystery. They are mirrors showing us what happens when nature shifts and humanity is unprepared. The Great Flood may not be just a tale of punishment, but a memory of warning, a lesson carved into myth to remind us of our fragility. Today, the world faces another rising tide. The glaciers melt once again. Oceans creep higher each year. Scientists warn that entire coastlines may disappear by the end of the century. Cities swallowed, maps redrawn, and as satellites orbit above, capturing every inch of this change, we realize we are living the echo of a story that already happened once before. Perhaps the underwater civilization of ancient America was not destroyed by arrogance or sin, but by the same natural forces that now awaken again, and perhaps their wisdom, hidden in myth, art, and symbol, was meant to reach us now. A reminder that the earth does not belong to us. We belong to it. In the laboratories and universities of today, scientists scan the ocean floor, decoding echoes of that forgotten age. In tribal ceremonies and sacred chants, the guardians of memory still whisper the stories of the drowned world, stories that call us to remember what humanity once knew. That balance is survival. That knowledge without harmony brings ruin. That every wave carries a fragment of our history, and every tide is a page turning in Earth's endless book. We thought we were discovering the lost world of the past, but in truth, the ocean was waiting for us to rediscover ourselves, because memory never dies. It only sinks, waiting for the day humanity learns to dive deep enough to find it again. And so the question remains, was there once a civilization beneath the waves of America? Perhaps, but whether fact, legend, or both, its greatest legacy is the mirror it holds to our future. We are the children of the ocean, born from its depths, sustained by its rhythm, and one day perhaps destined to return to it once more. The ocean is not empty. It is the memory of the world. Every grain of sand, every whisper of current, carries the story of something once alive, something once loved. Beneath its silence lie the ghosts of continents, the bones of mountains, and the dreams of civilizations that dared to rise against time. For generations, humanity has looked to the stars to understand its origin, yet perhaps the answer was always beneath our feet, hidden under miles of shifting blue. The stars tell us where we are going. The ocean tells us where we have been. Somewhere off the American coast, the last stones of an ancient city sleep beneath coral and darkness. They are not lost. It's merely waiting for us to remember that history is not written in books, but in the earth itself, in the shape of the shorelines, in the rhythm of the tides, and in the silence between the waves. Maybe one day, when we have learned to listen again to the earth, to each other, to the deep, those echoes will rise, and when they do, we will understand. The ocean was never hiding our past. It was protecting it. The story of the underwater city of America is not the story of a civilization that vanished. It is the story of a civilization reborn through memory, through myth, through us. Because every time we seek truth, every time we ask where we came from, we become part of that same endless story. The waves close over the ruins, the sunlight fades to twilight, and the deep returns to silence. Yet somewhere in that silence, a heartbeat remains, the heartbeat of a world that refuses to be forgotten.